Chapter 34. The Ribu Gita. Ribu was a great seer, a great rishi, one of the ancient sages of yore. His name finds mention in a few Upanishads. He is reputed to have obtained divine knowledge direct from the Supreme Lord himself, and then to have taught it to several disciples, such as the sage Nagdaga. His teachings to him are contained in the Ribu Gita, which forms a section of the Shiva Rahasya. But to the best of our knowledge, this section has not yet been printed in Sanskrit. We have a rendering into simple and easily understood Tamil verse by Sri Lokanatha Swami Gal, also known as Bhikshu Shastri. This Tamil rendering was often read before Sri Bhagavan and before recitals and they were quite inspiring. As Sri Bhagavan often used to refer to or quote from it, the Ribu Gita finds mention in all works relating to him. Long after Ribu had taught Nagdaga, he desired to learn how his old disciple had fared. Disguised as an ignorant villager, the master asked Nagdaga what the procession was, and was told that the king was going to be processioned and seated on an elephant. Ribu next asked, "And which is the elephant, and which is the king?" And the disciple replied, "Why, the one below is the elephant, and the one above is the king." Feigning not to understand the terms above and below, the disciple was made to demonstrate so that the disguised sage might understand them. Chiding the supposed villager as a hopeless ignoramus, Nagdaga got on the back of the master and said, "Now I am above, and you are below." Next, alas, the poor villager could not understand either I or you, and questioned the disciple about the meaning of these terms also. Light then dawned on the disciple, who discovered that the villager was no other than his illustrious master, come to bless him and make him realize himself. Nagdaga prostrated before the master Ribu, who had graciously come to find out his disciple's mode of life and progress. This is a story, an anecdote about the translation by Bhikshu Shastri, and is worth relating. Deeply struck by the pure Advaita of the teachings in this Gita, the translator held so steadfastly to that glorious doctrine that he denied the truth of reality of all phenomena, including the gods themselves. He said their existence is as true only as that of the barren woman's son, or the hare's horn, and the flowers seen in the sky. Teased too much by his atheism, the manifest gods put the translator to the test, and he lost his eyesight. Only when he wrote verses in praise of the Lord Nataraja was his sight restored to him. To have this punishment for daring to defy the form aspect of the formless, the saguna over the nirguna, divine excused. He had to write a verse in praise of Sri Nataraja at the end of each of the 44 chapters of the Ribu Gita. This is the essence of the teaching of this precious Gita, so often referred to by Sri Bhagavan. It goes thus. The self is one and whole, self-awareness. This is the divine, or Brahman, the indestructible, the existent, beginningless, and endless many. There is nothing apart from the self, Atman, not anything else worthy of meditation. All that is manifest, the I and you and he, the Lord and the All, is the divine. There is not even an atom apart from the self that is. the single unbroken essence. Therefore the surety Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, I am the divine, is the endless true knowledge. No, I am being awareness bliss, Sat Chit Ananda, of the nature of my own self. I am without any differentiation of caste, clan, birth, and the like. I am the divine absolute, shining eternally in all splendor as the full, spotless, intelligent, ever unbound, true and still, life current, unattached to the five sheaths, unaffected by the incidents of birth and death, void of a world that is lifeless and animate. You are that. This is experienced as I am Brahman, by negating through stainless inquiry the whole concept of individual, world, and beyond. The Maya of the world, the illusion, is not for you. You are the bliss of spotlessness, without either purpose or uncertainty. You are the purport of Vedanta. You are the indivisible form beyond the three clouds. You are yourself the one self, without attributes or changes, which cannot be experienced by mind or speech. Here and there, this and that, I and he, all such thoughts convey is only mind. The elements and their compounds are only mind. The concepts of time and space, the objects, the triads, and their appearances, such as celestials and men, the guru and the disciple, all are mind only. Here is the true form of worship. I am the ocean of bliss that is ever full. This is the true bath in holy water for the divinity of the Supreme Lord. I am the unbounded expanse. This is the beauty in the offering of cloth to the Supreme Lord Shiva. I am the self. This beauty is the real offering of ornaments to the Supreme Lord Shiva. Discarding the thought form leading to these gunas, this is the offering of the boundless to Shiva, the Supreme Lord. The annihilation of all sense of difference between the self, guru, and God, that is the offering of bell leaves to Shiva, the Supreme Lord. Casting away the tendencies, the vasanas of the past, this is the burning of the incense to Paramashiva, the Supreme Lord. I am the attributeless Paramashiva, the Supreme Lord. This beauty is the waving of light before the Supreme Lord, realizing that the divine Brahman and the self are one, is the burning of fragrant gums before Shiva, the Supreme Lord. That alone is the offering of flowers in which one abides as the self, the supreme bliss. That alone is the singing of the name in harmony, Namasankirtan, wherein one conceives himself as being without names and forms. I am the supreme knowledge determined by the scriptures on spiritual wisdom, Vedanta. I am the solid bliss abiding as the universal great silence. I am the single impartible own form, Swarupa. Abidance in the void is firmness. That itself is wisdom, jnana, and liberation. It is Shiva alone. The forms of thought are impurity, creating time and space and the differentiation of the world and individual, and is very harmful. Mind takes the form of intention and uncertainty. The egoic self does not really exist. The truth is, I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. Meditate on this, practice the wisdom of yoga, and destroy all sense of difference, and be freed from the dis-ease of mind, while obtaining the stillness of the tangible experience, and come to realize the release from bondage. Abiding in the self as Aham Brahmasmi is the real ablution. The determination of the self as the ever-realized divine is the real heaven. He is freed while alive, Jivan Mukta, who is motionless like the hill, and is still and immaculate, the self in itself. Absolute existence experienced as bliss. Rid of individuality, rid of all concepts, he who is still as pure light, immaculate, peaceful, solid bliss. He who is free without a body, Avadeha Mukta. Knowing, feeling, thinking and praying, determining and mingling, abiding, all these must be in the self itself. Meditate incessantly on Aham Brahmasmi until it becomes permanent. Later on, be freed from even this thought and be the self itself alone. Seeing anything apart from the divine is the cause of the sense of difference, and so of fear. The thought waves that rise in the mind are the cause of bondage. When there is no mind, there is neither world nor individual soul. The conquest of the mind is the greatest of all conquests. It is the divine himself who appears as world, individual, and the beyond. So abidance as the divine, as Brahman, at all times and in all places, will result in conquering the mind. Then will you come to realize all is divine. I am that self. And you will attain the natural state. The view that am I is the surest way to conquer the mind. There is nothing apart from me, the 3 states and 5 sheaths, the 3 gunas, the separate, and the crowd. All these are not apart from me. All that is seen is the seer, the self. Be at peace by the feeling, that am I. Cast off the idea, I am the body, and be firm in the feeling, I am the self, Atman. The conclusions of the 4 Vedas, the Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Arthava, are all the same. The well-known divine, the I am the divine, the that art thou, and I am the self. You are the divine knowledge. He who teaches you thus is the real guru. After obtaining this teaching, throw off all other books and be firm in meditating on Aham Brahmasmi. Let the pure existence of the divine alone be realized. If the sun of this knowledge arises, how can the darkness of ignorance prevail? The mind of him who is certain that the divine is one and whole cannot be shaken by the great illusion, Maya, even if the vast Mount Meru is shaken by tying it to a thread. Practice that am I, Soham. The experience I am Shiva, Shivoham, will make you into Shiva. Therefore sing Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham.